Welcome to the GT Challenge of the Go-Kart Mania Pro Championship, brought to you by RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. Qualifying action coming up next from Virginia International Raceway. Stay tuned. Virginia International Raceway plays host to round 3 of the Go-Kart Mania Pro Championship as the drivers face yet a new challenge. The rough C-Spec will be the weapon of choice today, as the drivers will look to tame it around this magnificent racetrack. With drivers coming from all racing disciplines from all over the world, including NASCAR Mexico, the Blancpain Endurance Series, the WearTech Insta Series, the World Endurance Championship, as well as many virtual drivers. So far, in the first 2 rounds, it has been the virtual drivers Donaciano Martinez and Roberto Montero taking the checker flag, as we move to Alton, Virginia into this fantastic track. 20 turns, 5.26 kilometers in length, and many elevation changes will challenge everybody here today for 45 minutes of racing. Good evening, everybody. Buenas tardes a todos. Here, Alvin Nieves coming to you for the commentary, as long as Randy Chewer in the commentary booth. And as always, Hugo Luis on the cameras. And Randy, third round, new challenge. First round we saw the Mazda MX-5 around Lime Rock Park. Then we saw the Radical around Watkins Glen. But today, it's a C-Spec around Virginia. What challenges do you expect the drivers to have here today?
Well, of the first 3 rounds, just from hearing those combinations, this I think will be the most challenging combination yet. The Roof C-Spec, one of those cars that is quite difficult to drive. No ABS, a lot of power, really doesn't have that much tire. Suspension isn't all that great either. Not a lot of aero. It's just sort of a very quick, basic style race car. And here at a track like VIR, one of America's, premier circuits, a lot of difficult corners here. You look at that roller coaster section at the end, the oak tree, the entire S's. This is going to be, I think, the biggest challenge of the season by far.
Yeah, it is absolutely, definitely a fantastic challenge that we got in here today. So as we go into qualifying session, it's a 15-minute qualifying session. So let's go on board around. How about we go on board the 2-time defending champion here, Roberto Montero, as he is coming out of that oak tree, coming into this back straight, trying to go around some traffic here, try to get a good run here coming into this. Now, very important this part here. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. Now you go into this depression. Now you start braking really hard, and you really have to time your braking as we got Nahu Molin just almost hitting Roberto Montero from behind, but Roberto Montero just keeping the car here tidy. As another section here, really important to keep the car really steady here. So he uses all the drag that he can possibly as coming really full throttle here around the start finish line, and he will cross the line. And let's see what sort of time he can do around here. And the time is, it's a 152.4. So it seems like yeah. So far that's good for P number 2. So far it's the pole position Sergio Durelli. So far, so Randy, for this qualifying session, we know that this track has this challenge. It has so many turns. Perhaps passing will be at a premium here today. How important will be qualifying for these drivers here today?
Qualifying is going to be huge at a track like this. If you have pace, you don't want to get yourself locked in behind a bunch of drivers who simply don't. There are some good passing opportunities on this racetrack. As difficult as it is, this is one of the saving graces. And, you know, going down that long back straight into corner number 14 into the roller coaster section of the track, you can work a move there. Obviously, going into corner number 1, you can make moves there after that long front straightaway and then into that hairpin at turn 1. And you can also make some sneaky maneuvers up into the oak tree and really abuse that uphill braking zone into that double right-hander going under the iconic oak tree that unfortunately in the real world is no longer there. But qualifying is going to be absolutely immense. I think you know, if you get yourself locked in behind someone here, it's very or especially behind a big group of cars, you can't really get yourself around a large number of the cars here, Alvin. So if you do put yourself out of position in qualifying, expect to be running well off pace all the way through those S's to oak tree, basically throughout the entire circuit.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Qualifying will be at a premium here today, certainly, as pretty much. But the front row, pretty much, it's been so far. It's been Sergio Durelli and Roberto Montero. There hasn't been any changes in that front row, but going through your professional qualifying session, so far we got Sergio Durelli and Roberto Montero in the top 2. Then Ramon Vera, third place, Jake Vite, and the round number 1 winner, Donaciano Martinez, and in your top 5. Now, as Roberto Montero just got the pole position with a 151.986. So, Brad, this is something that we have seen from Roberto Montero in this series. He has been so far the dominating driver. Yeah, he didn't win the pole position perhaps during in that first round, but Roberto Montero is that driver that you always have to look for. He's always running in the front, and he is always a threat around any track, any car combo that we have in this series.
Yeah, the other driver who's, of course, a threat, though, is Sergio Durelli, who is actually following Roberto Montero as they went through that first section out there on the racetrack, and Sergio actually going through the S's right now. And actually, Roberto, I think, let him by. He saw the fact that Sergio was back there trying to put in a quick time, and Sergio, of course, would have been loving any bit of draft he could get down this long back straightaway here at VIR. Roberto, I think, let him by, not wanting to give him that draft, but I think Sergio is still going to get one from the driver ahead of Hector Aguirre as they come down this long back straightaway here at VIR. Sergio, he was just a little bit slower than Roberto Montero going through the practice of only 2/10. Right now the gap between first to second is only 3/10, but Sergio did a 51.8 in practice. Pole's currently a 51.9, so it is still anyone's game here as Sergio heads into the roller coaster with slower traffic in front.
Yeah, it is absolutely. As currently following Alex de Alba. Now, I really want to give a quick shout out to Alex de Alba as he goes up off the track, but just want to do a quick mention because just last weekend it was the last round of many of the Mexican racing series that they do, and Alex de Alba just won his championship in his category. As also we have here Ruben Robelo, who also won the championship, and also we have Xavi Razzo, who also won the feature race in his category as well. So, Randy, we see a good mix here of virtual drivers and real race car drivers. How do you see this virtual environment kind of working with the real race car drivers, and how is it helping with their preparation for real life, and how this how this interaction between real and virtual has come into play today.
Well, anyone I think would be foolish at this point to say that you can't use the virtual world in some way to prepare for what happens in real life, especially when you're talking about a simulator like iRacing with laser scanned circuits, laser scanned cars, if I could speak. And it's, there's multiple real world drivers we see throughout all the facets of iRacing. Through the World Championship Grand Prix Series, through the NASCAR side of things, through IMSA, in the World Tour events, in Blancpain, there are a multitude of real-world drivers. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Nicky Thim, Jose Maria Lopez. I mean, the list sort of goes on through a multitude of different categories of racing. I'm honestly just really excited to see how these Hispano-American drivers get on. Is really somewhat underrepresented on the iRacing service, and it's going to be great to see some of these guys, some of these big names, do battle against one another.
Yeah, it certainly, yes, absolutely. It's great to, have this mix of real and virtual, and also, like you just mentioned, there's this group from Hispano America. This is a really great group that we have seen today. That we have seen. This is the second championship that we have.
Sergio goes to pole.
Sergio really just goes to pole with a 151.680. So guess what? Roberto Montero is having some competition here for the pole position today. Yes, if he's gonna get the pole positions, he is really gonna have to push it. Now, another thing that we have to mention here is that pole position here is really important, because not only means that you will start on pole position, well, for obvious reasons, but you also get 2 extra points for that. So, Randy, 2 extra points in a championship as tight as we've seen today, with Donaciano Martinez and Roberto Montero just tied for the points lead. How important those 2 points can come in. Not only those 2 points for the pole position, but also for getting the fastest lap. No, sorry, it's not the fastest lap. For also leading a lap, and for also leading the most laps.
Well, 2 points is huge. Right now, if you look at your championship lead, number 1 and 2, Donquianco Martinez and Roberto Montero are actually tied for the lead. So 2 points can be everything. In that Blancpain GT World Championship, we saw that decided by a single point. Any sort of point structure you can think of, you want every single point you can get. If you're Roberto Montero, who we're currently riding on board with here as he tries to challenge for the pole here, he wants it bad. He wants those points, and he wants the starting position.
It is absolutely, as we are here with Roberto Montero coming through the left hook. Now we're coming to this session here, a really technical session. You try to dance with the throttle here. You try to take as much curve as possible. Now you go really full throttle into DSS. You can really straighten DSS out and now go full throttle, 4th gear, 5th gear, and now you come into this another fantastic section of turns here. You really have to take it easy on this car, not as much downforce as many other cars, but Roberto Montero, no problem, taking those curves really, really good. Now we go into this south bend. You really have to be careful, because you can miss it just a little bit, and you can go into that open field. He just drifts it just a little bit, and he saved it. Well, just touched the wall, but that was a fantastic save. I have to say, maybe not what he was looking for the qualifying, but I guess during the race, that could be the difference between winning the race, winning the championship, or losing it.
Especially in these cars, you're absolutely right, Alvin, because these roof C-specs, I mean, a lot of rear-end grip coming out of corners, but going into corners, in order to get the rotation out of the car, you do have to set the car up relatively loose, have to be really sketchy on the brakes, and because of that, what we just seen is really just sort of a classic VIR incident going up into Oak Tree. Go through those quick S's, putting down a lot of speed, and you want to brake super late going into the Oak Tree, and if you get yourself just a little bit too late, outbrake yourself, especially in these roofs. Really easy to lock those rear tires, kick that rear end up, and once that happens, especially into Oak Tree, a lot of times it's simply game over.
Yeah, it is certainly something that we have to take care of, as Roberto Montero just was able to cross the line just as the time ended, so he will be the last car on track here. So let's go with him, because we have definitely seen him be one of the many challengers here for the pole position. So let's see what Roberto Montero can do here as he goes through NASCAR, as he goes through the NASCAR right now, going through the left hook here. Let's see if he will be able to challenge for that pole position. Now coming into that section, be very careful for the throttle. Now going back here into 6 and 6A, the snake. You freeze right, it's a snake, but you try to straighten it out. Now go full throttle here, really no fear here from Roberto Montero as he goes into 7, 8, and 9. You have to get those curves really great. You have to be precise on the follow now here. Really careful here now coming into turn number 10, the south bend, really careful. The car can get light here, but he just managed no problem. Now get into that depression, start braking, manage that rear, but Roberto Montero no problem, gets that oak tree, that beautiful oak tree. It's a really shame that it doesn't exist anymore, but you know, sometimes nature happens. But now Roberto Montero going into this back straight, stretching his legs now, 4th gear, 5th gear, now he goes into that top gear. Let's see that top speed that he can get coming out of here before he gets into the braking, going up, going down. Now he gets into braking, 250 kilometers an hour as he starts braking, hard braking, trying to keep that rear in check as much as possible. Now coming into the end of this lap, coming into 14, 15. Now this part here, you gotta be careful because you can also be freewheeling it because the car, how it just goes down, you can really lose the car. But Roberto Montero no problem as he goes into the main straight now, going to cross the start finish line, and let's see what time he can do now. 151.828. He improves his time, but second place, Sergio Durelli on pole position.
Yeah, a good time from Roberto, but still not quite enough to be able to reel in Sergio. I mean, look at those top two drivers, Alvin. Pole a full second ahead of third place of Miguel Meyer, and Roberto only 2/10 off of Sergio. Those top two are really tight.
Yeah, it is definitely. This is definitely really tight there for the top two, but as you just mentioned, pretty much almost a second between pole position and third place. As we will just go through your qualifying results right now. As Sergio Durelli just got the pole position, a 151.684. Sergio Durelli from pole position. Second place in the front row will be Roberto Montero, a 151.828. Third place Miguel Mier, 152.670. Fourth place Ramon Vera with a 152.681. Fifth place will be Alex Di Alba with a 152.686. Sixth place will be Juan Carlos Anton Garcia, a 152.688. Seventh place Fausto Duran Contreras, a 152.735. Jake Vite, 8th place with a 152.927. Donaciano Martinez, 9th place at 153.245. And running out the top 10, Hector Aguirre, a 153.10. As we got the rest of your qualifying positions on your screen. Now, Randy, it's a rolling start. So everybody will get a good lap to get those tires warm up, get ready. It's gonna be 45 minutes of action. What are your predictions?
Well, I think craziness is definitely going to be a big factor here because we talked about it, Alvin. These cars are downright hard to drive. This track is downright hard to drive. The conditions aren't too bad, although it is clear weather, and that's going to make this place pretty slick. Because of that, I think these guys are going to have a handful. I'm expecting a lot of incidents over the course of this 45-minute run. I expect that start to be exciting as well.
Yeah, it is absolutely going to be a fantastic start here as all the drivers trying to joining the grid. Looks like we are just missing one driver. Looks like we should have all the drivers here into the grid only 15 minutes before the cars get rolling into this magnificent racetrack, Virginia International Raceway, Alton, Virginia. Randy, I have to say that this track perhaps is one of the most underrated racetrack here in iRacing. We really don't see that this track being used much in many of the series, but I have to say, every time I see Virginia International Raceway, and perhaps you have also experienced this as well, you get into this track, you may not race it as much, but it's so much fun with all the left and right turns and also the many elevation changes. How does that play into this race today, especially with this C-Spec?
It is an absolutely exciting circuit, Alvin. You're absolutely right, and I definitely agree. I see a track like VIR, and I'm like, wow, there's this is a track that has a little bit of everything. It has some high-speed straights. It has some slight, tight sectors that you need to be very technical to get through. It has high-speed sections like the S's and going down through the roller coasters. It sort of is a circuit that has it all, and I think a lot of people, they get someone intimidated by a track like this. It is in a lot of ways comparable to a baby Nürburgring. It just is essentially a smaller version of that. And some of the best iRacing events, some of the best races that I can remember have happened here, and some of the biggest events have happened here as well. Think about the Target Virginia that happens every December, kind of a special one-off event that is really the only big league race that happens here at VIR, and because of that, that's what makes it so special. It's always great to see cars racing around this racetrack. It always provides for good racing, always puts on a great show.
Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic racing that this provides, and I'm pretty sure this race today will be no short of action, as we are just the pace car just going now through the South Bend. Sergio Durelli now in pole position. Now Roberto Montero. Yeah, he's not in pole position, but he's still on the front row. So we have seen fantastic starts from Roberto Montero, even coming from second place. How do you think Roberto Montero should approach this race, knowing that, yes, when it comes to the championship standings, it is a tie with Donaciano Martinez. But Donaciano Martinez right now is starting in ninth place. So, but pretty much his main championship rival is pretty far apart. Roberto Montero, should he go for the lead at the start of the race, or just play it safe, try to get as many points as possible, or just go flat out and go for the win?
He needs to be flexible, I think, because if he doesn't get a good jump, he needs to kind of just accept what he has and make sure that he gets through those first couple corners clean. If he does get a good jump over Sergio Durelli, though, I think he should definitely be aggressive here at VIR. There are some good places to pass, but it's always good to be proactive and be aggressive towards making a move. If that door seems like it might be open, if he gets the start he needs, he should definitely take any opportunity he gives himself. If not, if maybe the jump he doesn't get is all that great, if Sergio gets a good run, he should kind of just accept his fate, deal with what he has through the first couple corners, make sure he gets through clean and safe, and then attack Sergio over this 45-minute long event.
Yeah, it is absolutely. As the pace car now rounds the last turn here, we should be getting ready here for the start of the race. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready. 45 minutes of racing. The GT Challenge from Virginia International Raceway starts right now. Sergio Durelli gets a great jump here, and Roberto Montero just following there in second place. Third place, Miguel Mierda trying to look at the inside from Roberto Montero going turn one, but everything looks clean here. Single file. Everybody now go into turn number two. Turn number 2, turn number 3, Sergio Durelli in the lead of the race. Roberto Montero trying to follow closely there in second place, trying to not lose a touch from that lead. Miguel Mier in third place, fourth place Ramon Vera, fifth place Alex Di Alba. Now going through left hook, turn number 5, going into the snake. Now really, let's get that throttle on. Go full throttle, no fear here. Turn number 6. Now get into the straight, going into turn number 7. Really careful going into turn number 7. Get the car on the brakes. Get that rear planted. Make sure you don't lose control of it. Touch those curbs. No fear whatsoever. Turn number 10. Now get here. Really light on the rear gets light, but no problem. Now coming into turn number 11. Now a good setup here. Very important for the Oak Tree as we go into this long back straightaway. What's pretty much what we can pretty much say that this is kind of like the roller coaster here, as Miguel Mier goes off the racetrack here. But let's not take the top two here, as Sergio Durelli and Roberto Montero. Roberto Montero trying to follow really closely here. Let's see if he can mount an overtake, but no, he decides to keep it just behind it. So, Randy, it kind of looks like everybody just keeping up with the place that they have, and if they find an opportunity, perhaps go for it.
Really clean start by all, but as I say that, Sergio Dorelli off, coming through that final corner, and that's going to give Roberto Montero the lead. No contact for Sergio, so maybe he can mount offensive here on to try to reel in Roberto Montero, but look at the gap that Roberto's going to have because of this, Alvin. That's surely going to be 6, 7 or so seconds because of that. No, 2.5. Look like it might be larger. Actually, he's falling back even further. He's fell back to third, coming under attack for fourth. Ramon Vera locking the brakes up in front. I mean, that's a big mistake from Sergio Dorelli, just to pressure get into him, I think.
Yeah, it is definitely, and this is something that we have seen from every round here. Roberto Montero may not start from the lead, but it's sometimes it happens. People see Roberto Montero in the rear view mirrors. They get the pressure, they crumble under it, and Roberto Montero just pounds on it and just takes the lead. And this is pretty much what we just saw here today. That's pretty much Roberto Montero now open and 2.6 second advantage over second place Ramon Vera. But Sergio Dorelli is able to keep that third place, so let's see if he is able to recover later in this race. So as we go now here, coming into turn number 11 and into the O3, a little bit of a lockup here from second place here Ramon Vera, but coming into this back straight. Let's see if Sergio Dorelli can get a good run here going into the roller coaster, Randy.
He's doing a good job to gap himself from Alex de Alba behind. So Sergio's doing exactly what he needs to do, starting to put that pressure onto Ramon Vera. But really, I think if you're Sergio Dorelli, you have to get by Ramon Vera extraordinarily quickly, and you need to put in qualifying laps every single time around this racetrack. Roberto, if you allow him to get out front like this, he's probably just going to run away. Because right now, you look in his rearview mirror, he had last time around, it was 2.5 second advantage over the car behind. This time around, it seems like it's going to be even larger than that. When you let someone get out to a lead like this, someone you have absolutely no pressure whatsoever, they're just going to run away from you. And we talk about the gap, 3.2 seconds that point in time by. Gap from Roberto to Sergio in third, 3.8.
Yeah, it is absolutely. This is one of the things that you really have to do. As we get the battle here between P9, 10, and 11 between Xavi Razzo, Hector Aguirre, and Miguel Miera. Xavi Razzo just battling there with Hector Aguirre for P number 9. Let's see if he is able to get that position as they go into turn number 3, the NASCAR burn. Take that curve, try to touch it, get a little bit of throttle here, and see how good of a run you can get here. But Hector Aguirre, no problem there, as he is trying to hound Xavi Razzo there for P number 9. So, Randy.
Oh, there's an incident behind, though. There's an incident. Diego Ortega, and I'm not sure who else that is, Miguel Meyer. That was coming through towards, just before getting into the snake, Alvin. We talk about how tight this part of the racetrack is, and that blue car behind it, Diego Ortega, just got into the back of Miguel Meyer, and that is just, it just sent him around.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Let's see if we can get a replay of this incident as, Diego Ortega just trying to follow closely. Miguel Mier here going through trying to turn number 4 and then going to turn number 5. Just looks like Diego Ortega just got a little bit earlier on the throttle. Looks like he got a better run here, but kind of one of those unfortunate incidents. Randy.
Yeah, just one of those racing incidents that happens here every so often. Right now we're watching Razzo as well as Meyer, and Aguirre is actually in this as well as they're coming through down towards Hogpen, towards the final corner here on this lap. And there's a lot of traffic in amongst this part of the racetrack. Alvin, Hector, Xavi, Andres, Antonio, and I know you know this racetrack very well. I know this racetrack very well. This place is hectic to race alone, as Antonio actually pushes wide. I was about to say, once you get in amongst yourself around traffic, it can be really hard to keep all 4 wheels on the black stuff here. And the moment you dip 2 of those wheels off on the green stuff, especially coming through that final corner, you're going through the grass for a long ways, guaranteed.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It is really treasures this track, like you just mentioned. It's not like Circuit of the Americas, for example, where if you go off track, you got those big runoff areas, so you can kind of get away with some mistakes that you may make if you kind of push the car here. But here, Virginia International Raceway, it's a totally different monster. You go off track, you are going for the grass, you're going for a landscaping excursion, and sometimes, Randy, when you are coming out of those high-speed turns, and the grass here doesn't play really good, friends.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many places you dip a wheel off. If you do it on the brakes, the car will just spin. You think of that final corner coming off through the exit. If you dip 2 wheels off, you're going way off to the left. And don't forget that treacherous oak tree here. You dip those two left side wheels off onto the grass on entry or through the mid corner, you're going to go off into the wall guaranteed. We've seen a lot of incidents over the years in various races. And actually, as I say that, I hear contact through the oak tree. That's Guillermo Jimenez Labora. This is coming out of the oak tree. What happened here? Did he do this to himself? Looks like he just, he kind of cut that corner extraordinarily narrow, Alvin. And who was that behind who got into him? That was Zavirazo. Sort of nowhere to go for either driver, but Guillermo ended up on his lid.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like just Zavirazo got a better run there, but Guillermo Jimenez Labora, the kind of like the innocent bystander there, as Zavirazo got a better run, but now, like you just said, on its roof. So let's see if Guillermo Jimenez Labora can recover from this. As we are back live, and Guillermo Jimenez Labora just trying to keep it off the track. Looks like it may be race over for him.
Yeah, that was a big incident. It's not often, Alvin, that you can put the car on its lid and it's still raceable.
Oh yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the roof C-spec. It's kind of like a bug, so it can be a little bit on its roof, and it can keep going. But Guillermo Jimenez Labora just decides to bring it back into the pits, as we got a battle here for P number 11 and P number 10 between Zavirazo and Nikolai Savchevsky. Now you're going through the snake here. Let's see what Nikolai Savchevsky can do, and see if he can mount an attack on Zavirazo. But Zavirazo, and now mounting that attack to Andres Espinosa, coming into turn number 7, and decides to just a little bit too close for comfort, I have to say.
Everyone all over the grass coming through. Those S's and Andres is actually going to let Zavirazo go through. So Zavi's doing a good job making up some spots. He started this lap in 12th place, and I believe he's already got himself up to 10th as he comes through the oak tree. Now Mr. Espinosa is going to have his mirror full of Nikolai Savchevsky, and as I say that, Andres goes wide, and he's going to lose another 2, 3, 4 spots. I think who's that coming behind? That's Inigo Aroche coming down the long back straightaway here, and that's going to be another spot loss for Andres Espinosa, and that's what we've been talking about, Alvin. One little mistake about this racetrack, you get freight trained.
Yeah, and it especially gets magnified when that off track just happened to be just at the exit of what is the longest straight here, the back straight on this track. You know, you can go off track at many other places in this track, and perhaps you can recover and you can defend your position better. But if you do it on the back straight, you really need to get that speed, corner exit as best as possible. And every mile an hour counts here, and especially when you go off track at there, it will really affect your top speed coming at the end of this back straight, Randy.
And that's where you need all that speed, Alvin, coming down that long back straightaway, because that's where your passes get made. That really is the best passing opportunity on the racetrack. It's easy for people to make mistakes coming through the oak tree, and any little mistake from someone out in front means that you're almost guaranteed at least a chance at making a move as you go down in the roller coaster. And Alvin, I know you know that's a difficult point of the racetrack to pass. At the end of that long bit back straightaway, you have that little left-hand kink, and then you follow it up with that real tight right-hander, and it's just one of those situations, and I think it's opinion-based. I wonder what you think. Where do you like to be if you have to make a move on someone at the end of that back straightaway? Going through the left or going through the right? As we got word that Alba actually went off through the oak tree, didn't actually hit anything. That's Alex Alba, who was running in third place at the time. Excuse me, Sergio Dorelli has himself back up into second, but a 7-second gap, Alvin, for Dorelli to try to reel in.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Alex Alba just went a little bit off track, and it's just it's one of those turns that it really, like we have just been mentioning here, you really have to be careful because the car can get really light and you can lose it, and especially that breaking into the oak tree, you really have to keep it. But going back to the point that you were saying, when it comes to being on one point of the racetrack to trying to get that position, I'll say pretty much there are 2 spots here that you can make a good run, and it's coming out of the back straight, especially at that roller coaster and turn 1. But like we have been discussing, that roller coaster trying to get on those brakes, especially you get on those brakes, the car gets light, but you also have to turn a little bit left and then a little bit right, and then you get into that section that you really go up and down. So I really, it is really difficult, Randy, to kind of judge what will be the best or perhaps the safest places here at this track to do an overtake.
Yeah, I mean, and that is such a tricky part of the racetrack too. When you just think about it, Alvin, I mean, you kind of described it perfectly. The cars want to do so many different things at the end of that back straightaway. You think you come in from a downhill, and then immediately the downhill ends. You go back uphill. You get on the brakes. You crest the hills. You make the apex on the left, nabbing all sorts of curb, the car fighting you the entire way, and then you have to make the car turn to the right, going back down that same hill. I mean, it is mostly a straightaway section, but a lot of those sections are really, really difficult. As right now we get word that Martinez is Destinaccio Martinez. This is up by Oak Tree. And where did this incident happen? This actually happened before he even got to really the Oak Tree, Alvin. Very similar from what we saw Roberto Montero in qualifying. Just lost that rear end, and he spun off, and he actually very smartly just cut the Oak Tree right there, took his black flag instead of trying to get back out in front of traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that this turn here today, turn number 11, just before the Oak Tree, is gonna be one of the many casualty corners here that we will have today. As do a quick recap here of your race so far. In the lead, no surprise, Roberto Montero, the number 58, two-time defending champion. He's got a 5.7 second lead over second place Sergio Durelli, which this seems like he has just recovered from that incident that he had at the end of the first lap. So he's now running in second place. First place, Juan Carlos Anton Garcia. It's just 2.2 seconds behind second place. Fourth place, Alex Di Alba. And fifth place, we got Jake Vite. Sixth place, we got Ramon Vera. Seventh place, Fausto M. Duran Contreras. And number 8, Donaciano Martinez. And number 9th place, Hector Aguirre. And rounding up your top 10, Xavi Razzo. So, Randy, 15 minutes into
and Razzo actually just spun, sorry to interrupt, but just going into NASCAR Ben, Xavi just turned that car around. Is he going to hold on to 10th? No, that's 3 spots that just went by, so he's going to drop down to, I think, 14th, I think, is Xavi Razzo.
Yeah, he was Xavi Razzo right now running in P number 13, so I guess, yeah, it's just one of those that you try to keep the car under control, especially you are going through this turn number 2, turn number 3, and complex. It's really deceiving because it in a way it looks like you want to go full throttle, but on this car it's really it can be really confusing, as we got a battle here between the Nikolai Sajewski, Miguel Mir, and Diego Ortega. So, Randy, what do you think? That turn 2, 3, 4, it's kind of deceiving, but on this track you really have to be careful because this car really has not much downforce at all.
This is the kind of car, Alvin, that in order to go fast, you sort of have to underdrive it. You think of a lot of cars like Formula Renault, you think of Formula 1 style cars, Indy cars, you see all those wings, all those tires. You can really push those cars hard and drive them hard. You look at a roof cup car like this, essentially a GT3 cup car, not GT3 as in what we see at the 24 Hours of Spa, but GT3 as in like a Porsche 911 GT3 cup. It's like we see in the Yokohama series. I mean, the cars, they don't have very big brakes. They don't have very big tires. Like you said, no aero. Because of that, yeah, you get in and it's a little light sports car, but in a lot of ways, you have to almost drive this thing like it's bigger and heavier than you think, really prioritizing the exit. But as I say that, Miguel Meyer, a big dive down on the brakes, not quite close enough to make it side by side, but Miguel closed right up on the back of Nikolai into corner number 1 there.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Now, gotta say, it is from what we have seen, and I'm pretty sure you also have your fair share of experience here with this car, the C-Spec. I know that pretty much all the fuss pretty much is around the GT3 cars, but sometimes it's really a good thing to have these cars like the C-Spec, a kind of like a driver's car. Yeah, it may not have the downforce, or it may not have the ABS or the traction control like the like the GT3 cars have, but gotta say it's really a fun car to drive.
It is a ton of fun to drive, and I'd love to see more cars on the iRacing service at about this level in terms of pace. Love to see some sort of touring car, maybe even some GT4 as well. We know that Ferrari GTE, but that's sort of just filling the ranks of top-end GT a little bit. I'd love to see this mid-range GT kind of field and class filled out, but focusing a little bit more on the race, Alvin, that gap between Sergio and Roberto has come down a lot in the last couple laps. We saw when Sergio got himself into second place, it was a 7-second gap. It's currently down to 4. So Sergio Dorelli putting in some monster laps, and Roberto maybe succumbing to a little bit of pressure, maybe struggling with the car and track out there.
Yeah, it certainly is, and especially like we just mentioned, the track conditions. Yeah, in terms of air temperature, it should be it's good, but track temperature is way warmer than what it should be, and also when you consider the sky conditions are clear, you have that temperature into the track, and then you're trying to push this C-spec, you're trying to keep it under control, and pretty much Sergio Dorelli pretty much is getting that gap down as the gap right now is 4.2. Do you think Roberto Montero may be struggling with his tires?
I mean, it depends a lot on the setup and a lot what he's doing with the car. I know from experience of driving this C-Spec, I put about a solid year into just kind of specializing in this car. I drove it in sprint race format. I drove it in endurance races as well. And the thing that I always learned about driving this car is that you have to conserve the tires. That, in a lot of way, is how you have to drive the car, and that's part of the reason I say you kind of have to drive the car somewhat easy. The easier you tend to actually push the car, the harder you push the car, the more you're going to use up those tires, which is never good. We got a yellow flag, Alvin. I believe this might be our competition caution.
Yeah, it is absolutely the competition caution, and this will pretty much get all the field bunched up together. Now, interesting thing here to note will be a competition caution, so another thing that will happen here is that all the lap cars will get the waiver on, so everybody should be on the lead lap as well. Now, Randy, you are Roberto Montero and Sergio Dorelli. Do you pit to take tires, or do you stay out of the track?
Oh man, Alvin, you're giving me a little bit of this is some oval style question asking. I honestly think, let's look at the drop off here for Roberto Montero. His best lap out there with a 52.015, and actually his drop off hasn't been that bad, Alvin, but his consistency, hasn't been there. 52 flat, 52.2, 52.2, 52.2, but then it goes to a 52.5, an 8, a 9, and a 53.9 at that, a 52.0, 52.7. So lap time's kind of all over the place. Look back to Sergio Dorelli. He actually just put in his quickest time of 52.063 on lap number 9. But it's important to also note that in that earlier running, he was well down the order. At this point, it's sort of hard to say. Only 11 laps have been run. I don't think a lot of people are really going to come down the pit road here. I think for that reason, you're better off probably just staying out, maintaining that track position, because we've seen it in oval stuff, Alvin. It's arguably even harder here on the roadside if you get cycled all the way down the order if you're the only one that pits.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It's kind of like if you're in first place, you're kind of like the let's say like
the guinea pig.
Yeah, guinea pig pretty much. If you pit, everybody will stay off track, but if you stay out, everybody will come in. Now, speaking of the championship, Roberto Montero has been pretty much leading all the laps here today, and he also so far he has the best lap today. So not only he has he doesn't have the 2 extra points for the pole position, but looking at who is his closest rival when it comes to the championship, Donaciano Martinez. He's running in 8th place, so you are Roberto Montero and you know that you are in the lead. How comfortable can you get going into the second half of this race, knowing that your main championship rival is running in 8th place, and on a track like VIR, really hard to overtake? How comfortable do you get?
Well, it might be in your nature to try to sit there and maybe get comfortable, and I'm sure it's always refreshing to look at the relative and see that your championship rival is 7 spots behind you at approximately the midway point. But I think if you're Roberto Montero, you can't let yourself get overly comfortable with that fact. Look at the fact that he was losing pace to Sergio Dorelli, at the tail end of this run, and then the fact that you have this competition caution. Sergio knows that he just reeled Roberto in by about 2 seconds over a handful of laps. I think Sergio is going to be mighty aggressive here on this restart. If you're Roberto, you can't afford to relax at all. I think we're looking all at the pace car right now, seeing when those lights go out, getting ready to come across the stripe any moment now, and let's see, we'll be going green. Next time by, we spend one more lap under yellow, coming across the stripe momentarily, and the caution lights will stay on, so at least 2 more laps under this yellow flag.
Yes, as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers coming into the pits. We got Héctor Aguirre, Raúl Pérez Gama, Xavi Razzo, Nelson Canache, and Nahu Molin coming into the pits here. I'm pretty sure that by fresh set of tires here. Now he's waiting for all the cars to go by as Héctor Aguirre gets out of the pit. So Randy, only 5 cars coming into the pits, taking tires. Do you see an advantage for those for those 5 drivers having those fresh tires versus the rest of the field having pretty much going on the old tires, considering that this track is a really hard place to overtake?
It'll definitely be an advantage. New tires is always an advantage over old tires. It's very rarely the case where that's the opposite. I can think of only one exception. It was actually in a Neo race at Spa, where the conditions were simply so cold that new tires would not get themselves up to temperature very quickly. So you kind of would want to do the double stint at least once in an endurance race. But like I was saying before, this car, somewhat under-tired, relatively heavy, a lot of power, under-braked. Because of that, you're going to be heating these tires up a lot. So being out there on those new tires is going to be an advantage. However, you say that, and you look at the likes of Montero and Dorelli, who over the course at the end of that first 11-lap run really didn't have much drop-off. While the advantage might be there, I think that advantage is only going to be maybe 3 to 4 tenths tops. And, then again, granted, Alvin, at the same point, really probably only going to get an idea of what Roberto and Sergio's pace are once this thing goes back to green. Roberto, I'm sure, was somewhat just cruising out there with his 7-second advantage. Sergio was likely pushing on pretty hard, but he might have used his rubber up trying to get himself back into that second position. Once we go green here, we're going to have a really good idea of what the actual pace potential is.
Yeah, it is absolutely. This will be an interesting battle here that we will see today within Roberto Montero, pretty much leading the whole race so far because of a mistake that Sergio Dorelli just made at the end of lap number 1. But Sergio Dorelli has been able to recover really nicely, and now pretty much because of this competition caution, we'll have everybody all here, all bunched together, and we will see a fantastic second half of the race. Now, don't forget, for everybody here and that likes to follow here us on iRacing Live, no matter what type of racing you like, we got it for you this week. You like stock cars? We got it for you on Wednesdays. You like the classic Camel GT Championship? We got it. We got it on Thursday. You want the GT3 action? Fine. Fridays, Blancpain GT. And if you like the endurance racing, don't worry, we got that covered for you, as we got the Gathering of Triggers Endurance Series and the Neo Endurance Series as well. Don't forget that you can watch it here on RacePod and iRacing Live. As we are coming onto the end of this lap, let's see if the pace car will get his lights off to see if we have only 1 lap to go. As pretty much the whole field now trying to get them sorted out, making sure that those tires are really warm up, because I'm pretty sure this should be the last. This should be the 1 lap to go signal for the race car. And
lights out.
Yeah, lights out it is. So Randy should be getting here ready.
Yep, and now this is when you're going to be... That's when the nerves are going to start to kick in a little bit more, Alvin. You have the yellow. You can calm yourself down a little bit. Just sort of cruise for, what's it been? It's about 3 minutes per lap under the caution here. So about 7 or 8 minutes you get to sort of relax. But if you're Roberto Montero or Sergio Dorelli, you see that 1 lap to go signal, and that's when you need to. That's when that anxiety is going to start pushing in a little bit. Because look at this race time. We're not going to have a lot of time left to go here. It's not a lot of times left in the duration of this race, and because of that, the likes of Roberto and the likes of Sergio going to be very, very aggressive here when it comes to trying to make a move. And because of that, it really is either their game. They need to be on the ball here once we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, it is absolutely. There should be once the green flag drops in, I'm pretty sure everybody will amp up their aggression and try to get as many positions as possible. As we get to the restart of the race, we should be around 15 minutes to go when we cross the start finish line to restart the race. So should be a good 8 laps of fantastic action, and I'm pretty sure those 8 laps will be nothing short of action here, Randy.
Yeah, it's going to be action filled. Every single corner is going to be, hugely important. What do you think is going to be the point of this racetrack to watch, Alvin? Is it going to be turn 1? Is that where if you're the second place runner, Sergio Dorelli, is that where you try to make the move? Or do you try to make it going into Oak Tree to really apply pressure into Roberto Montero, try to force him into a possibly race-ending mistake? Or do you push him going down at the end of that long back straightaway?
Well, that is kind of like an interesting thing that we can see. I'm pretty sure that Sergio Dorelli will try to keep up the pressure as much as possible here. So, in a way, it should be. I think he should go here into turn 1 and try to apply as much pressure as possible. But also, something that we should keep an eye here: the midfield. We have seen from previous races that the midfield can get really aggressive here, and knowing that with pretty much what will be 8 laps to go, they should really get on it and try to make as many positions as possible, Randy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The midfield guys are going to be really aggressive. And actually, if you're the likes of Sergio Roberto, you look back to Giancarlos Anton Garcia, Alex de Alba, Jake Vide, those guys were putting in some pretty good laps towards the end of that run. I mean, we saw our leaders running mid to low 52s and, 54s, 52s from Juan, 52s from Alba, 52s from Vida, so they're not that far off pace. It's just been the consistency that they haven't quite had. Only 7 to 8 laps to go. They might try to make a dive to get themselves to the point and try to steal a win.
Yeah, absolutely. As we now go into the turn number 14 and 15, we are getting ready for the restart of this race. Roberto Montero leading the race from Sergio Dorelli, Juan Carlos Anton Garcia, Alex de Alba, Jake Vite, Ramon Vera, Fausto Duran Contreras, Donaciano Martinez, Iñigo Aroche, and Andres Espinosa rounding up your top 10. As we go around the last turn here, pace car should be coming into the pit at any moment, and we should going back into green. And Roberto Montero goes out as he tries to open that gap, and Sergio Dorelli kind of got caught a little bit sleeping there, but right there, Alex de Alba and Juan Carlos Santos Garcia battling there for P number 3 as they go into turn number 1. It is Juan Carlos Santos Garcia getting that position, but Alex de Alba now getting pressure from Jake Vite there, but masterful defense there from Alex de Alba to keep that keep that P number 4 there, Randy.
Yeah, great defense there from 4th place, and great offense from Juan Carlos Anton Garcia to get himself up into 3rd, but it really is kind of all eyes on Dorelli and Montero at this point, isn't it, Alvin, as they head themselves into the snake and up towards the extraordinarily fast S's here. And the thing is, Alvin, once they get into this high-speed section, watch how much of the curve they launch themselves over. I mean, there's some racetracks where you're scared to hit the curves, but no fear here. You basically are launching these cars over these curves at 140, 150 miles an hour.
Yeah, it certainly is a really fun track, especially if you try to get those curves. It kind of feels like you are trying to just running this whole racetrack on 2 wheels, as if you were a motorcycle. But now coming out of the Oak Tree, Sergio Dorelli getting a good run there from Roberto Montero, but Roberto Montero getting those legs in. Sergio Dorelli just a little bit faster here coming into the roller coaster. That slipstream making a huge help here for Sergio Dorelli as they break a real break here coming into turn number 14. Sergio Dorelli trying to keep track with Roberto Montero.
Look at 3rd and 4th place, Alvin. They haven't dropped off the back of these two like they did at the start. We saw at the start of the race, Roberto Montero gifted essentially a huge lead at the start of the race. This time, Sergio Dorelli, he's hanging on with Montero. Giancarlo Anton Garcia is there. Alex de Alba not far behind as well. there's a lot of pressure on these top two right now to be able to stay clean, because we saw that big mistake from Dorelli in the early stages of this race at the end of lap number 1. You can't afford a mistake now. If you're Roberto Montero and you push wide exiting that final corner, you're probably dropping back to about 5th or 6th position out there on the racetrack, and if that happens, kiss any chance of the race win goodbye.
Yeah, it is absolutely. I'm pretty sure as keep playing here, as Sergio Dorelli just trying to fend off that pressure from Juan Carlos Santos Garcia there in 3rd place as they go into the snake here. Let's see if Sergio Dorelli can pull away just a little bit, because he is trying to lose just a little bit of touch here with Roberto Montero with just 13 minutes to go. Randy, Roberto Montero looks like he's opening his gap again.
He's starting to, but how's he going to play on those tires, Alvin? Because we saw him stretch out this gap when Sergio Dorelli had his mistake at the end of the first lap, but towards the final couple laps of that run, he sort of, he lost 2 seconds there, and because of that, that's a huge question mark on Roberto Montero. That was only an 11-lap run, so his car, if it isn't set up very well over a long run like that, yeah, you might see a bit of a gap now from Sergio Dorelli, but if he can find that 2 to 3 seconds in only a couple of laps, that window, to be able to mount an attack on Roberto Montero, Roberto is going to have his hands full, I think, defending as they work themselves at the end of this long back straightaway here. And I have to say, Alvin, Sergio, I think, looks much better on the brakes than Roberto does. Roberto's making up all his time on the corner exit.
Yeah, it is absolutely. As we got this fantastic battle here for P number 5 between Jake Vite, Donaciano Martinez, and Ramon Vera as they are rounding out the last turn here, coming into the start finish line. Jake Vite leading this group here now. Donaciano Martinez, like we just mentioned, he is one of the championship contenders here. He's up to P number 6, so definitely a fantastic run from here today, Randy.
A great run since the restart, Alvin. I believe he's running 8th once we went back to green flag racing. He's now up to 6th. Has his sights set on the car in front of Jake Vide, and he's actually might be able to just make a move here. So to get himself a top 5 here actually wouldn't be bad points, considering his championship contender of Roberto Montero looks like he might be able to come away with at least a 1st or 2nd finish, just given the way that him and Sergio Dorelli are going back and forth. A 6th or 5th place finish though for Donquino Martinez, considering he qualified 9th. I think that wouldn't be very bad at all.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and definitely Donaciano Martinez. If he really wants to contend for this championship, this is the moment to do it now. Going through the field here, let's see. Well, we're gonna talk about Nahu Molin because from what I have here so far in the live timing, he seems like the biggest mover here. Running in P number he started in P number 13. He started on P number 30. So fantastic race from Nahu Molin there, Randy.
A great run from him as well, up to 13th place from 30th on the grid. Actually did not run a qualifying time, so moving himself up 17 spots. There's a couple other non-qualifiers as well, but they're all hanging around the top 25 or below. So a great run for Nahum coming into this race. But look up towards the front there, Alvin. Looks to me like Sergio Dorelli has brought that gap down just a little bit over the course of this lap, hanging tight on the back end of Roberto Montero as they come through the final corner, getting into that slipstream down this front straightaway. I think that's down to about 3/10 as they come across the stripe just about now.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Sergio Dorelli mounting a great run here, but I don't think he's going to have enough to go here into turn number 1 for Roberto Montero, but he's getting close, and I think he may push Roberto Montero there into an error. And like we just mentioned, Roberto Montero really cannot afford to make any mistakes here. Yes, he is the two-time defending champion, and he has seemed like the man to beat. Like you cannot force him into an error, but as we have seen not only here but on our championships, anybody can be broken.
And especially at this point in the race, Alvin, you're seeing Roberto Montero at the end of that first run, he dropped off. Sergio Dorelli, though, started putting in some quick, consistent lap times. Last time around, Dorelli took 4/10 out of Roberto Montero, and he's only 3/10 of a second back, so I think he's got the quicker car. Yes, he has the slipstream, but there's not 4/10 worth of slipstream here, in my honest opinion. There is some considerable slipstream, but that's not where I'm seeing Sergio make up the time here as they work themselves through the tight and tricky oak tree. And again, it's a good run from Sergio, but Roberto does get a better run off the corner. Sergio using as much of the slipstream as he can. I actually think, Alvin, Roberto's done a good job to stretch this gap back out just a little bit as they run down your back straightaway.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and you know, something that I've kind of perhaps we can question that. We were wondering how Sergio Durelli was able to get that gap down to during the first half of the race. Yeah, Sergio Durelli just made a mistake and he lost a couple of positions, but we saw how he was able to bring that gap down. Do you think that perhaps Roberto Montero right now perhaps running with a lower downforce compared to Sergio Durelli is benefiting now from that low downforce being in front?
Oh, and Sergio Durelli actually makes a bit of mistake going into corner number 1. He actually does a fantastic job to get that roof C-spec slowed down and get to that late apex of corner number 2. But in terms of lower trim downforce, it's hard to say, Alvin, because I know you can kind of verify this just from running other GT stuff with Phoenix, whether it be the GT2 car, GT1, or even the GT3 machines. And the C-spec, from my experience, is the same way. Yeah, taking the wing off can make the car just a little bit faster, but these GT machines, whether it's the C-spec, like you said, GT3, GT2, GT1, the tires like wing. So yes, running the car as trimmed out as you can might be potentially quicker over the course of maybe a single lap, but a lot of times running those couple clicks of safety rear wing will be much more consistent over the race in terms of how you treat that tire rubber.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergio Durelli now coming in. Sergio Durelli and Roberto Montero coming into the oak tree here. Let's see if Sergio Durelli can get a good run here as the gap. It is closer than it was before, Randy. Before it was 0.5, but now it's 0.3. So Sergio Durelli may have a run here as Roberto Montero trying to break that slipstream coming into the roller coaster. Let's see if Sergio Durelli can get a good run here coming into the braking zone for the roller coaster. Let's see if he can go. Let's go side by side and let's see. But Roberto Durelli decides to stay just behind him. So Randy, that's kind of like a shots fired for when it comes to warning shots.
Sergio Durelli, that wasn't an effort to really make a move. That's just him harassing the mirrors of Roberto Montero here at the end. Coming up with 6 minutes left in this race as they come across the stripe. It's just going to be 4 laps to go left in this one, but actually Sergio did not get a good run off that final corner, and look how much that gap has stretched back out as they come across the stripe. We saw how much that Sergio closed up down the back straightaway, and in coming to the start finish line, Roberto actually stretched that gap out 2/10. So Sergio making some sort of mistake through that final sector of the racetrack cost him a considerable amount of time. In terms of what you asked me earlier, Alvin, the other way to look at it is Roberto, if he does have that car trimmed out a little bit more, really either of them, if they have the car trimmed out a little bit more, they will be better in the slipstream. And just watching, I think Roberto has been quicker down the straights than Sergio has. Sergio really hasn't been reeling in Roberto down the straights with the slipstream like I imagined he would be. So I think Roberto likely has that car a little bit more trimmed out than Sergio.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Now going through this battle for P number 7 between Donaciano Martinez and Ramon Vera. Donaciano Martinez looks like he is struggling just a little bit. He was running in P number 6 just a couple of laps ago, but now running on P number 7 and under big pressure there from Ramon Vera as they go into the south bend. Donaciano Martinez using all the track that he can there, now going into turn number 11. Let's see if he can keep that rear planted there, and he looks like no problem there. But as now they approach this long back straight here, Donaciano Martinez trying to defend from Ramon Vera.
It's unfortunate to see that that Martinez has fallen down the order just a little bit, and it's definitely good to see that we're getting some fights up and down the order here towards the end of the race. Nikolai, he has his hands full of Nahum Olin as they come down the long back straightaway here. Nahum Olin working the draft, going down to the inside into corner number 14. A big out-braking maneuver, and there's going to be contact off to the end of the grass as Nikolai and Nahum Olin gets pushed off wide as well. Neither of them race-ending damage. They're going to carry on, but a little bit of frustrating and aggressive move. Sergio Durelli, though, all over the back of Roberto Montero through corner number 1 with 3 laps left in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. That looks like that movement from Nahum Olin just a little bit over optimistic, but you know what? No damage, no contact. Everybody was able to continue on with the race, but this battle for the lead really heating up between Roberto Montero and Sergio Durelli. Sergio Durelli now really close there, coming into what is the snake here right now? Let's see if he can. I'm pretty sure he won't try to make a move here coming into 7, 8, and 9. Because pretty much this section here is only single file. But if you dare, you can do you can go for an overtake there, Randy.
Well, you might say that part of the track is single file, Alvin, but you've never been in a Mustang FR 500s with radicals in a Targa, Virginia. That part of the racetrack can be run side by side, but when you're talking about two C-specs, not really an easy part of the racetrack to do. And Roberto, again, a better run out of Oak Tree. I think we're right now where Sergio seems to be making up all his time is through about the middle part of the lap, Alvin. He seems better up until about the exit of Oak Tree. He actually looks better through the first part of it, but Roberto's able to get that run, and because of that, that stretches the gap. You see Sergio looking to the inside, again, just harassing the mirrors of Roberto. That's not a dive bomb. That's not anything like that. He knew he wasn't close enough to make a move, but 2 laps to go here, and Sergio needs to make sure that Roberto knows that he means business and that Roberto can't just sleep, otherwise he's going to hop on it. Really, right now, it's going to be a big move, I think, from Sergio to get the lead. I think he's looking to force Roberto into a mistake, but they come down this front straight, Alvin, the gap comes down even more. 3/10 last time by, they cross the stripe now, under 2/10, 0.19 at the line.
Yeah, definitely. Sergio really putting that pressure there on Roberto Montero's. A little bit of a lockup there from Roberto Montero, but no problems from him trying to keep that car under control as they go now into NASCAR burn. Sergio Durelli, Roberto Montero, your top two. The gap between them only 0.3 seconds, as they have been pretty much this close. They have pretty much been this close since the beginning of the second half of this race. And
there's going to be traffic, Alvin. Sorry to interrupt. Ruben Ravello is slow through the S's right now, and those two are coming quick. He's going into Oak Tree. He should be through Oak Tree. Hopefully they'll get him on this back straight.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much, well, one of the good things about this track, being so big, perhaps traffic will not be a factor, but you never know with so many cars, so many scales, so many different skill levels that we have seen here. I don't think traffic is gonna be a factor here, but Sergio really just gets that great run there coming out of the Oak Tree. Let's see if Roberto Montero breaking the slipstream again. Let's see if Sergio really can get it all together and mount that overtake coming here into turn number 14. And he goes for the left side, and let's see if he can go for the overtake, and the answer is not for the moment. Roberto Montero, the great defense there from Roberto Montero, using all the track that he can using those curves. Roberto Montero is really pushing this car here as, Randy, we're getting for the final lap.
Yeah, they're coming through the final now, but Ruben Ravello in that damaged car is coming through these final corners as well, and they're just going to get themselves slipped by. White flag in the air. Roberto Montero leads by about 0.4 of a second over Sergio Durelli and Alvin. I think that passing opportunity, that passing attempt from Sergio Durelli hurt any chances he had of this winning this race, because he lost himself a bit of ground, and he's pushing hard, as you see the front right tire locking up into corner number 1. Sergio needs to push hard if he has any hope of winning this. Roberto, there's only really one more place you have to defend, maybe 2. I actually think if you're Sergio, you need to try to get close to the S's, and you actually need to make the move through Oak Tree rather than the end of that long back straight.
Absolutely. Sergio Durelli trying to keep track with Roberto Montero as we go through the snake here. Very important for Sergio Durelli, try to keep track there, not make any mistakes. The main purpose here, keep track with Roberto Montero. Perhaps you only have 2 more places to pass here, just before the Oak Tree and at the roller coaster. So Sergio Durelli trying to keep that gap as close as possible as they go into the south bend. The gap now 0.3 seconds. Let's see if Sergio really can keep that gap here as close as. I think this is the closest I see him here, and as they go out of the Oak Tree, and looks like Sergio really have a great run there, but Roberto Montero going again to try to break the draft. I think Sergio Durelli may have him here, so let's see. Sergio Durelli closing the gap there, looking left, looking right. Roberto Montero defending. Sergio Durelli to the left side. Will he go for it? The answer is going side by side. Oh, contact it. Oh my God! Sergio Durelli on his guard, doing some barrel rolls. Oh my God! Roberto Montero looks like he is going to have the race win here. Roberto Montero coming out of the last turn here, turn number 16 and 17, and looks like he is slowing down. So he He may be waiting for Sergio Dorelli, but it looks like no. Roberto Montero will win round number 3 of the Go-Kart Mania Pro Championship here at Virginia International Raceway. And second place, Juan Carlos Santon Garcia. Really close there for that first place. Third place, Alex de Alba there. We got for P number 4 here. Jake Vite just crosses the line in fourth place. As fifth place goes to Fausto Duran Contreras, Donaciano Martinez in sixth place. And Miguel Mier should be coming into the line in seventh place. Now, Inigo Aroche, eighth place. Nahum Molin, ninth place. And rounding up your top 10, Hector Aguirre. Randy, that finish, what a race.
Yeah, what a run to the finish. Very unfortunate for Sergio Dorelli here going into that last passing opportunity. Nothing, we're getting a replay of the incident right now. Not his fault in the slightest. Roberto Montero just kind of outjudged the racetrack just a little bit. He got himself too far on the right. He just got a couple tires onto the grass, and because of that, he kicked left. And when he got into Sergio Dorelli, there's just so much weight on the left side of that car that it wasn't going to take a hard impact to put that car around and up on over, even up and over on top of its lid, which is exactly what happened. Sergio, he had a fantastic run, qualified on the pole, fell back to third at one point, got back to second, mounting a huge offensive for the win after that yellow flag. Comes home in 11th place. I'm sure he's probably heartbroken and maybe a little upset, but I honestly think that Sergio Dorelli should keep his head held high. He ran a fantastic race today. He had fantastic pace. Nearly came away with the win with Roberto Montero. Roberto, I think, will probably be a little bit bummed over that one. I'm sure he'll probably be sending some apologies after this.
Yeah, pretty sure Roberto Montero, yeah, he had a good race and all, but, you know, sometimes things happen, but it was a battle for the lead, and Roberto Montero went with all. Sergio Dorelli went with all. And, well, sometimes this thing happens, but Roberto Montero takes the win here today. So we go through the results here for the third round on the Go-Kart Mania Pro Championship here, the GT Challenge at Virginia International Raceway. Roberto Montero gets the race win. Second place, Juan Carlos Santos Garcia. Only 0.26 seconds, so really close there, as it looks like Roberto Montero may have been waiting. Third place, we got Alex de Alba, and that should round up your podium. Now we go to the fourth place, Jake Vite. Fifth place, we got Fausto Duran Contreras. Sixth place, the other championship contender, Donaciano Martinez. A fantastic recovery drive from him there, Randy. Seventh place, Miguel Mier. Eighth place, Inigo Aroche. Ninth place, well, we cannot discard never this guy, Nahum Molin. He may start from the back of the field, but he always get this fantastic runs through these rounds. He finished in P number 9, and rounding up your top 10, Hector Aguirre. And as we go through the rest of your results of your race today, Randy, who is the driver of the race today?
Oh, well, Roberto Montero certainly put on a pretty good show, and, you know, Sergio Dorelli did a good job as well. I actually might say Nahum Olin coming away with that 9th place finish. Didn't qualify, started in 30th place to come away with a top 10. That was quite good. Also, Dianco Martinez to come away with 6th place. That is some good points for him.
Yeah, it is absolutely. This was, I'm pretty sure there was a fantastic race for here today, as it looks like we may have some interviews here today that we will do, as we got we may have Nahum Molina getting ready for our interviews. Let's see if we can get him into this room. So Nahum, another fantastic race. It seems that for you may start from the back of the field, but it doesn't matter to you. You always manage to make it to the front of the field and always get these great results for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was the worst qualifying I've ever had in the championship. I wasn't able to. I made a mistake during my first lap. It was a good lap, but then I wasn't able to do any lap without getting one of my wheels off the track, and that made for a pretty hard day today. I mean, it was hard trying to. I knew that I was fast, but I had to respect my competitors to not hit any of them. So it was a tough race, but at the end we got a top 10. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic racing. Now, we know that you have been doing a fantastic job here organizing this series. Next round, we don't know the track, we don't know the car. What do you expect for the next round, considering that pretty much this will be the second half of this championship, and with Roberto Montero now leading comfortably the championship over Donaciano Martinez?
I know that we're going to have a pretty exciting second half of the championship. All of the drivers now are getting a hang of racing with each other, racing cleanly. So now it's the time to go. If they don't go now, they will have to wait until 2017. So I think we're going to have some very exciting races in the last three races.
Yeah, that's absolutely, and we really look forward to see what this second half of this championship will bring to us. I'm pretty sure it will be a really exciting, fantastic car track combos that I'm pretty sure that we will see, and great organization from this championship from you, Nahum. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, and thank you, Go Kart Mania, for this because they are the ones that make this possible. And thanks, RaceSpot, the best team there is.
Yeah. Well, Randy, round three is over. Now we don't know where we're heading for the next car for the next round. We really don't know the car either. What do you expect for the drivers in terms of preparation?
Well, I mean, it's definitely hard to practice when you don't know the car or track, but I'm sure if you're someone like Sergio Dorelli, who is so close to coming away with a win here, you're going to be at least driving something to kind of hone your skills and keep yourself sharp, because you want to come away strong after this, after this somewhat disappointment. But I'm sure it'll be a fantastic race. This race was a fantastic race, up and down the field, close battles despite the difficulty of the car and the circuit. I'm sure that you and Mr. Johnny Simone, who was absent today, is going to be great. Johnny, of course, getting his wisdom teeth removed, and that's surprising to me, Alvin, because I didn't realize Johnny had any wisdom.
Well, yeah, sometimes things happen in real life, and well, yeah, pretty sure Johnny will be looking forward to coming back into the commentary booth for what will be round four of the Go Kart Mania Pro Championship here series here today. So for me, Alvin Nieves, Randy Chenerf, Hugo Luis on the cameras, and let's not forget a big thanks for Isban Bala for the great camera here, and for the app engineer for the great job that they do here for bringing the overlays that you see here on RaceBot TV. So for me, Alvin Nieves, Randy Chavos, this has been RaceBot TV. See you guys later.